Good evening, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes, definitely, Rana. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, madam. Loud and clear. How are you? Good to see you.
Fine, thank you. I'm also great.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, this year again,
Definitely.
and I'm honored to be again with you.
Same here,
It is,
Rana.
thank you so much, ma'am. It is indeed a pleasure and honor to be again with you live because I remember being your student and it was pretty tough times. It was pretty tough times, but you made those times pretty easy and easier on
Thank
your
you.
students. And
Thank you, Rana. I
it's
hope you
such
learned
beautiful.
something.
I learned a lot. I learned a lot about human rights, about gender rights, and whatnot. And most importantly, I learned how to be on time.
Oh, that's great.
So, how's
And you've
everything?
implemented, aspects of human rights and things like that, especially gender-related issues. So you've
Exactly.
implemented them, and it's really great to know that one of my students has implemented those ideas.
I have shared a few of my judgments with you as well, and
Yes, I
just
keep
to let you
reading
know
them.
that what we exactly, just to let you know that what we have studied in class, I have actually put that into practice.
That's the most important thing.
Exactly, exactly. So we have been told to talk about opportunities in social sciences. So I'll try to speak less and listen to you more because it's always very enriching listening to you. So if you may please enlighten us with your views on the opportunities with the social sciences and what one can do with the social sciences.
According to one of the most important emeritus professor, 𝗷𝗫𝗓𝗄𝗧, she's from the School of Education, and she has spoken about and she teaches at the University of Leeds, UK. So she has given around about 10 pointers on the importance of social sciences in our education and the need for it in our education today. So the first thing that she talks about is that social scientists help us imagine alternative futures. And she talks about that it can open up a debate, it can give us a collective future. And during the 19th century, basically the 1800s, the second half of the 1800s, the focus was on a different kind of world that they wanted, because there were new technologies such as steam power, etc., railways. So it transformed the way of life, it transformed the economy, it transformed other areas and other institutions all over the world, be it family, be it technology, be it medicine, and so on and so forth. So from the 1800s to onwards, the legal issues, the social issues changed. Formerly, people used to live mostly in village areas, and so they were connected with one another. Now they were living in cities. So the entire aspect of thinking, of understanding, of living together changed, and therefore the need to understand this new world became very, very important. Another reason that she gives is that it helps us deal with our finances, how to deal with economics, how to deal with the changes that are taking place in the world, how to learn about monetary issues, monetary values, how to deal with the political aspect of things. So, that's another area that social sciences helps us understand. And
Certainly.
Yes. So, it can save your life. It can sort of make your neighborhoods better. It can bring about policy changes that we need in our country. It can bring about, there'll be a growth of intellectuals in our society, which is something that we do not have. So it improves the lives of people around us. It improves our lives, and it sort of helps to make society a better place. So the importance of social sciences is really, really necessary, especially with all the changes that we are experiencing in this day and age. We have the COVID going on right now. So why did it start? Why is it spreading so rapidly? What can be done? What can the NGOs help to do? All this happens because you are focused on social sciences, how to deal with depression, how to deal with all these other issues that are part and parcel of our society. Social sciences has answers to these questions.
Exactly. And one more thing I would like to add on that, with your permission, that an area that I've come across with in my daily practice in the courts is basically a phenomena that unfortunately originated from your subject of expertise, that is sociology. And the myth that I'm talking about is a suicide. Now,
Mhm.
suicide is not just a phenomenon only. It has a lot very dynamics behind it, and we have started in class as well. So
Yeah.
if I may ask you to please enlighten us with respect to these phenomena, because the COVID-19 has already caused a lot of depression, anxieties in the people around, and the people, they are unable to move around, they are unable to do what they used to do, and it is very difficult for them to start living in a new normal. So it's very difficult for them to cope up with that. So what does a sociologist, an expert in sociology like you, think about that?
Well, basically, suicide has a lot of dimensions from a sociological point of view. There are different kinds of suicide. So we need to understand the underlying reasons why people actually commit an act of suicide. Is it a financial crisis? Is it a personal crisis that is there? Is it a professional crisis that they cannot deal with? And very often, if you can gauge that, it helps people. And according to Durkheim and others who had done the study on suicide, they said that integration and moral regulation are the two basic factors which will help in lessening the rate of suicide. So integration basically means that if you know a friend is feeling bad, why don't you give them a call? If you can't meet them, you can have online chats with them. You can sort of, communicate with them on a regular day-to-day basis so that they don't feel left out, they don't feel so alone. And moral regulation is again, prayers, yoga, and other such factors can sort of help you cope with the problems that exist today with the COVID factor, etc. So, these are ways in which we can sort of help one another. We can be there for one another. We can help online. We can do a lot of other things. Plus, you can have, you can talk to psychologists online. You can talk to your teachers online, so on and so forth. We need to understand the problems sometimes students face. Of course, some of the students do take advantage of these issues and sort of play truant. But we need to sort of understand, is it a genuine reason? Is it just somebody playing truancy or whatever there is? So, we need to sort of focus on these issues. What is your opinion, Rana? Hello? Yes, Rana. Can you hear me? Hello, I can't hear you, Rana. Your mic is mute.
So,
Hello?
madam, let me ask you one more thing. That you have done your
Mhm,
PhD in sociology and you have been teaching this
mhm,
course for a long while. Can you hear me?
mhm. Yes, I can. I definitely can, Rana.
Can you hear me? Am I
Yes, I
audible,
can,
madam?
Rana. Yes, you are. Yes,
Can you
Rana,
hear
you
me,
are
ma'am?
audible. Yes, I can.
Okay, wonderful. Ma'am, fine. A very interesting question. I almost forgot to ask when I used to be a student. So let me take this um, opportunity right now to ask this question from you, that when
Mm-hmm.
you are designing a course outline, and when you're designing a course
Mm-hmm.
outline, and when you're designing the contents of your course in sociology, or let's say gender
Yes.
and human rights, in social sciences, so what exactly is the basic idea behind, what exactly is the philosophy of yours when you do that for your students, for BS students and for MA students?
Well, when I'm designing a course, I try to see the trends that are there, the trends, the things that are happening in society at that particular point in time. And then I go back and study and review all the literature that is available to our students. Very often, students don't have access to books. So I try to make sure that every topic that I choose has e-sources, so ebooks are available for the students so that they have access, especially during the COVID period, because facilitation, students do not and cannot come to the universities and cannot have access to books. I make sure that ebooks are available to them as well. If books are not available, then I'll photograph something, whatever is available. So I'll use that. And plus, I'll see what is happening in society, what is happening in our region, what is happening in the Western society, what are the new trends in the social sciences, what are the new ideas, the new theoretical frameworks, the new methodologies that people are doing. Because remember, university education is knowledge enhancement and the creation of knowledge. So these two areas are very important. You have to enhance the students' knowledge and you have to help students make or create new knowledge. So they need to know how to make, how to create that new knowledge. So again, the focus is always on a theoretical paradigm because you need theory. I tend to make sure that students have access to some research papers so that they know how a research was done, even at the bachelor's level, because this sort of helps them in the long run. So I take a lot of aspects. I do a lot of reading. Um, since some time, I've been developing strategies. I've been developing aspects. I've been, accessing ebooks. I buy a lot of books. I have over 3,000 books of my own. So I use all these sources to actually make a curriculum, make a syllabus, or change the syllabus.
I remember that you mentioned this in one of our classes that we had, that you had this much collection of books. So
Yes.
let me ask one more question that I always wanted to ask, that when you were teaching us on Unmasked, when you asked your students, including myself, to read a book, Honor Unmasked, and then we also invited Dr. Nafisa Shah to our class, if you remember,
Yes, I do.
did you know that I'm going to be someone who will be deciding such cases? For having such, because when I need to know the phenomena behind such a criminal activity, that book is there,
Mm.
which was taught by you many years before then assuming this charge. So when you taught us that book, what was your philosophy and your mindset, that why you were referring to that book on an Unmasked? Because we were studying that book, and I remember two books: Taboo
Well, not a lot of
and
research has
Honor
been done.
Unmasked. Mind suggesting those books.
Right. Well, uh, at that point in time when I was teaching y'all, I had read the book Honor Unmasked, and it was a very the research that was done in Sindh uh, in that particular area was extremely, the research itself was extremely good, and I learned a lot. Because I'll give you an example from Honor Unmasked, that this woman there, the marriages that take place within cousins, a child is already given in marriage to another person from even sometimes before they are born, so they don't have any hope of changing that future that they have. And I remember that in one case which Dr. Nafisa Shah had spoken about, is that one of the relatives of the parents of the child refused that association. And so this other lady, she went there and she stayed there, and she sort of, banged her head and, did all these kinds of other things so as to get her way. So that was very interesting to know about these little cultural elements that are there, which are part and parcel of our society. One needs to understand it from a human point of view. One needs to understand how these issues have been there since a very long period of time, and not always look down on things. This is extremely important, that one doesn't need to look down on different ways of life, but you need to, of course, conform to the 21st century point of view as well. But you have to understand the history of how these things have happened, and so that you can be more sensible and sort of make resolutions that are beneficial for all parties involved. So only with knowledge can you do that. Only with a historical ideology can you do that. Only with understanding the historical aspect of our society can we do that. And this book was very, very interesting. It was an eye-opener for me as well. So I felt it would be very good for students to read it.
I personally believe
Rana, you're breaking up a little bit.
it certainly was. And I personally believe that behind any criminal activity, there is always a social dynamic behind it. And can you hear me now?
Yes, but you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay. I was saying that I have found many such cases, and I observed that behind any criminal activity, there are certain social dynamics. And those social dynamics actually provoke that person to commit any certain crime. So, in order to study individuals and their lifestyles and the way they interact with each other, the way they behave, and the conformist and the antagonist and the conflict, everything comes from social sciences.
Yes.
And I always observe that if I have not studied social sciences as a subject, I would not be able to make relationship, make a nexus between the two variables. I have to decide.
Unfortunately, in our country, social sciences or the humanities has not been given impetus, has not been given great importance for a very long period of time. And people don't realize what they are missing, because all ideas have basically come from the humanities as well as the social sciences. Even the ideas about science itself have had their origins in the social sciences and in the humanities, in the arts. It is very interesting to know that. For example, if you take the paintings of Leonardo da Vinci and you see his helicopter and all the other diagrams that he had made at that point in time based on science, he was an artist, and it was an artist's idea that he promulgated, which later on people used to make and invent different things. So I think the humanities and the social sciences are extremely, extremely important to create new knowledge in all fields and in all areas.
These days, the people are unaware of the fact that there's a basic difference between evangelism and extremism. We have lost the tolerance, we have lost patience, and resultantly, we are the world's biggest opportunity, and we are having such cases like forced conversions and child marriages, and setting and temples, and so many cases minority. So yeah,
Rana,
this
you're
is
breaking
such
up. I
an
could not.
unfortunate, heartbreaking social phenomena that has implicated in our social fabric. And unless and until we don't study that, we don't make shape out of that, we are involved.
If anybody has any questions, they can ask me while Mr. Rana gets online again. If anybody has any questions. So in the meantime, while Rana is getting back online because of some server problem, I'll just give you an idea about what SZABIST is offering in the social sciences. SZABIST, to obtain a BS degree in the social sciences, students are required to complete around about 144 credit hours within 6 years. And the degree consists of 46 courses and a research project. So in the final year, the students will be a research project in their majors. So this is another thing so research is very important even at the bachelor's level, and that is why the focus is always on research at SZABIST, because in the final year, each and every student has to do a research project. Yes, Rana.
Asking you another instance, unfortunate thing, but the cases of forced conversion and the cases of child marriages. Now, such things cannot be understood unless and until you don't draw a relationship between the intent to commit a crime and the crime itself. So then again, a sociology is involved. Again, social sciences is involved. So I personally believe that you cannot understand anything unless you draw your conclusion out of the social sciences behind it. What do you have to say about that?
One needs to understand the history of anything, and whether you are a sociologist or whether you have to see it from the economic point of view, you have to see it from a political point of view, you have to see it from a socio-religious point of view, a cultural point of view. So all these elements you have to take into account before one can
Exactly.
make a judgment, before one can sort of see it in that particular aspect. And if you don't have a background in the social sciences, you might make a mistake. You might sort of not understand the reasoning behind why certain things happen in a particular society. And therefore, as I said, to change society, to bring about changes, you have to go gradually. You have to understand the other, why they're doing what they are doing. And only then can you sort of solve the problems that are there. Even very heinous crimes, you need to solve it with that angle.
Exactly. So, for the prospective students, what would you suggest that what exactly are the opportunities they might have if they pursue their bachelor's and postgraduate studies in social sciences?
Well, I will speak to you from a Western perspective, which is very important, and then I'll come back to Pakistan. So let me just tell you that a person who's taken international relations in a Western society would be one of the highest earners. For example, if you take United States, their average salary would be over $120,000 per year. An economist would be earning over $100,000 per year. A sociologist would be earning around about nearly $80,000 to $90,000 per year. So people who are taking social sciences in Western societies sort of have a very, very broad perspective, and they can go into various different fields, whichever fields. Now, what is happening is that social sciences is becoming important because you're suddenly realizing that in so many areas, you need people who are going to do different kinds of research, and you need lots and lots of NGOs, World Bank, and other organizations are dealing with our country. So, for example, if you're doing international relations, you can join into labor organizations, you can join think tanks, you can join academic institutions, you can join NGOs, you can study political theory, you can teach international relations, and the field is very, very vast. You can write a lot of stuff. If you become an economist, you can go into the public finance, you can go into labor economics, financial economics, international, macro, micro, all these areas you need people. So you can predict funding, you can predict the spending needs, you can predict the ramifications that are there because of the policies, because of the laws. You can gather information, you can get to know the deep complexities of our national economy. So again, economics is a very, very important subject. Coming to sociology, you can join lots and lots of NGOs in the political, in the social, in the religious, in the economic dimension, because we need educators, we need lawmakers, we need policy makers, we need workers, social workers, we need administrators. So in all these areas, you need a sociologist. And of course, last but not least, let's take the aspect of psychology. You need psychologists in schools, you need psychologists in healthcare facilities, in research centers, in government agencies, in private practices, in assessment programs. So again, we need lots and lots of psychologists. And all these sort of can help you create new communities. Because remember, sociology and such, the social sciences in general, it can help you understand architecture, engineering, government agencies, consulting services. So all these different areas of opportunities are there for students to take up the social sciences. So it's just that people don't know where to go and how to apply, and what organizations to sort of join. And it's a very, very new field. So I think there is great scope for the social sciences and for people to get employment in our country as well.
Exactly, madam. Let me tell you something very frankly. You are a wonderful speaker and a wonderful, besides being a wonderful teacher. And I was actually enjoying listening to your argument. If this had been a case, I would have given a verdict in your favor. Seriously.
Rana, stop.
Let it be like
Um,
that. Okay, one more thing. I'll share my
yes,
own personal experience.
yeah,
I'll share my
please
own
do.
personal experience that back in 2016, I had to make a choice that either I should go for my master's in law, LLM, or
Mm-hmm.
I can pursue MS degree in social sciences. So I was in a fix. But then I decided, and then I thought that law also came from social sciences. Law is a
Yes.
branch of social sciences. Law is originated from the social sciences. And what is the point of studying law without studying social sciences? Even if I study law in my master's, and if I don't know how that particular law has evolved, how the society's norms and values and traditions and the customs, all the ingredients and elements of law, unless I don't identify them, I don't study them, I don't study the nexus between them, how would I be able to understand the scheme of law, the wisdom behind the law? And we call it jurisprudence. So then I made a choice and I took admission in 𝗟𝗫𝗍𝒃 in 2016, and that's how I became one of your students. So yes, and that opened my horizons. That opened my so many thinking ways that yes, this thing can be done this way as well. And you cannot study anything unless you have not studied and observed the ways in social sciences. So I believe that whether it is a major or not, it is not important that if you are a student of international relations or psychology or sociology, you are a student of social sciences. You cannot be the best student in your own course unless you are not a good student of social sciences, because you are unable to draw conclusions. Let it be psychology, may it be sociology, any subject you say. But social sciences actually opens up the door for you and creates new horizons for you to understand and to perceive society in many ways. What do you say
Yes.
about that?
Yes, I totally agree with you, Rana, on that score, because it opens up a lot of doors. It opens up a lot of understanding. And instead of us, reaching judgments that we may think are right, without understanding the background of the social setup in any community, in any society, we might not reach a considerate, uh, you know, uh, end to something. We might not be considerate about another person's feelings, another person's hopes, another person's problems. We would be pretty callous in a way. So I feel that studying the social sciences, having a wider range, apart from the majors that you're doing. For example, SZABIST has Introduction to Anthropology, which is a very, very interesting subject, which I've been teaching for a very long period of time now. Every semester, every year, I take the course and I teach it. So it sort of opens up a horizon for the students, not just localized to Pakistan, not just localized to our region, but on a whole international level. And sort of they get all this knowledge which comes from a wide variety of backgrounds, from Africa, from South Asia, from Southeast Asia, from the West. So sort of it opens up their horizon to different dimensions of understanding humanity, of different dimensions of understanding society, how families originated, how cultures originated, how states originated. So it sort of gives them an idea about different things. And I think subjects like these are very, very important for all students, just not for the social sciences.
Exactly. That is what I meant. And most importantly, at Zebis, what I enjoyed the most, that besides just having a very competitive and a very informative, enlightening, enriching course outlines, the faculty, you yourself, and then we have got wonderful other faculty members, Dr.
Oh,
Riaz,
yes, they're all very, very good.
Dr. Mehek, and especially the faculty members are the ones who actually made those courses pretty easy, pretty useful, pretty informative, extremely informative for the students. Otherwise, these courses would have been like any other course, but you made it special. So I also wanted to
Yes,
convey my gratitude to my teachers as well, who made these courses very informative for us and helping us in whatever we are doing.
yes, and one thing I would like to stress is that the head of the social sciences department, um, uh, he is such a wonderful person, and he always thinks outside the box. He always tries to add in new ideas. Dr. Riaz Sheikh, basically, he has
Exactly.
been such a rock for all of us. So I really take my hats off to him for sort of introducing new subjects, for encouraging all of us. He has been really, really great.
Exactly. And I remember meeting him like an like a normal boy. I met him. I was not even an
Yes,
advocate. I met him for the first time, and I asked him back in 2016. It was. I said,
yes,
"Sir, what to do?" He said, "Take an admission in social sciences, and rest will be the history." And rest is
yes,
history, of course.
yes. And he's very, very innovative. He wants to introduce new ideas. He wants to introduce new subjects, and he encourages all of us. And I think that's what we all need as teachers, as faculty
Exactly.
members. We need
Uh-huh.
that support that is there, and Zabist definitely, definitely gives that support. I studied at Zabist. I enjoyed all my years of studying. I had wonderful faculty who taught me a wide variety of subjects in the social sciences. I did my PhD from there, and they have been so very accommodating and changing, things, bringing new ideas. into their departments, which is what I really enjoy about SZABIST and about teaching at SZABIST.
Right, madam. So there is a question to you from the great Sir Alisha that kindly elaborate on how do you think after getting degree in social sciences a person can contribute for the betterment of society at large, regional and international levels. Sir Alisha, look at me. By becoming a judge, you will write wonderful judgments. You will write very reasonable judgments. And if you have studied from Dr. Malbari, so this is me, a case study sitting in front of you. Rest, Madam Malbari will like to add on to that.
Well, it's a very, very interesting question because a lot of students sort of hesitate taking the social sciences because they don't know what their futures are going to be. As I said, one of the dimensions of studying social sciences is joining the academia. But apart from them, there are so many NGOs that you can join where you need people who are going to do tons and tons of research. Because without research, you cannot change society. You cannot change ideas, you cannot innovate, you cannot bring about new policies. So you need people who have focused and who have done research. You need researchers in all these different fields. So I think having a degree at bachelor's level and even beyond it sort of would be very beneficial for people.
Yes, and like I already mentioned,
NGOs that are, and today it's a global world, it's a global economy, it's a global society. So we are interacting, and especially with the COVID and all, we are even taking online classes, which is something that was unheard of. And so, the world is changing very, very rapidly. And sort of if we don't keep up with the rest of the world, we will be far behind. So I think a degree in the social sciences is very, very good because from sitting in Pakistan, we can also work elsewhere. We can sort of help other communities.
Exactly.
They can help us.
Yes, and like I already mentioned that regardless of the fact what majors you have, regardless of that fact, social sciences is a prerequisite for any student to understand the course of his majors. Now, let it be any course. You can't understand the dynamics of the course you are studying unless you have not studied a social science as a subject. So it is not just that what benefit you're going to get out of it. You will always get benefits out of it because you cannot create nexus between the subjects.
I'll give you another example.
Yes.
Yes, please. Of the benefit of social sciences. People don't understand that even you can be a filmmaker, director, writer, and actor. You can go into different fields with the social sciences because sort of it makes you understand other human beings, society in general. You can write better. You can have a flair. Today, Google is in a way employing people who have had majors in social sciences rather than in other fields. So because they need such people, so you can work from anywhere in the world. So the world is wide open for you.
Exactly. So answering to a comment by 𝗙𝗪𝗻𝗃 that Pakistani students Pakistan is still stuck in two fields, medical and engineering, after that CSS. Let me tell you something very interesting about that, 𝗙𝗪𝗻𝗃. I did my O-levels in medical subjects. It was pathetic. Then I did my A-levels in accounts and commerce. It was even more pathetic. So social sciences have been really life-saving because social sciences subjects are the only subjects in which I excelled. Not just because of the fact that I was not good in other subjects, but social sciences are the subjects for which I was made of. And I wanted to study that particular thing. I was forced to study medical. I was forced to study engineering or the accounting subjects, I'm sorry. But I never knew that my flair is there for social sciences. My flair is there for law. So for all those students who think that they are being forced and pressed and they're just thrown into the medicines or the accounting subjects or the engineering subjects and they're not performing well, it does not mean that you're not a good student. You can be an excellent student. But the choice that you have to make is between your subjects. If you take your subjects right, your potential is out of this world. So you cannot ascertain anybody's potential with respect to his performance in a subject. So performance matters a lot when it comes to academics as well, and when it comes to getting jobs as well. But if you are expert in your field, rest assured, job will come to you itself.
Yes, this is exactly, a lot of people have seen the movie Three Idiots. And,
Yeah.
that movie sort of states exactly the same thing, that do what you love and you will excel. Take J.K. Rowling, for example. She did her bachelor's and all in literature. Uh, Today she is a billionaire by writing the Harry Potter novels. So do what you love, whatever other people may say, and you will excel in it. And it's not that social sciences is easy. This is a wrong conception that people have. You have to study a lot in the social sciences as well as in any other subject, be it medicine or engineering. You have to have a theoretical background. So it's not what you think that it is for losers or some such thing. That is a wrong idea. That is a wrong ideology that we are sort of focused. That, okay, if you're not good at anything else like engineering or finance or this or that, you take up the social sciences. No, you are good in writing, in speaking. You are good in all the in subjects that deal with human beings.
Yes.
Then yes, social sciences is the one for you.
Yes. So basically, you need to identify your potential. You need to identify yourself first. And one more thing, uh, even if you talk about
Yes.
CSS, even CSS in subject selection, we have got sociology 100 marks, political science 200 marks, international relations 100 marks, law, six kinds of law, contract law, business law, constitutional law, what not. Everything is there deriving from social sciences. So you cannot actually run away from social sciences either way.
Yes. True. Any other questions?
I guess it's Avatar time.
Okay.
Yes. So thank you so much, madam, for
Thank you,
joining us.
Rana. It's always a pleasure discussing things with you and talking with you.
Pleasure is all mine.
It's just great.
Pleasure is all mine. One last question. One last question. Let's take it.
Okay.
Mohammed On Abbas has a question. What is the scope of PhD in economics as a discipline of social sciences, considering country's employment market? Which segment has demand supply for in question discipline? Secondly, how to figure it out, conduct analysis before entering into any field. Madam, first, if you would like to answer it, and then I'll answer that.
Okay, so he's basically asking about what are the opportunities if he does a PhD in economics, right?
Yes.
If I've heard that correctly. So
Yes.
basically, economics, it studies how services, how your resources, how your goods, all these are produced, these are distributed, how you compile and analyze all the results. So it helps companies, it helps individuals, it helps governments, change policies, make economic changes, and all the charts, the tables, the policies, the journal articles sort of help you to do a better job. So basically, you will be working in the different areas like public finance, labor, financial economics, international economics, organizational economics, the areas that will sort of, if you go into the government sector, you can predict what funds you need, what are the spending needs of the government. You might study about the ramifications of laws and policies that the government can make. What are the future? What are the implications 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now on a particular, economic policy that you're making? You can gather and evaluate all your information about your economy, your GDP, etc. So, uh, the areas, you can find employment in private corporations, you can find employment in government institutions, you can find employment in NGOs, you can join research tanks, think tanks. So you can join research think tanks which focus on economic issues, and you can sort of share their findings. You can sort of share all the predictions that they are going to make. So we need specialization in economics to make judgments and to make policies that are beneficial, not just for the moment now, but for the future of our economy, for the future of our country. So the world is open for you.
And not just if you have done PhD in economics, even if you have done PhD or any other subject for that matter in any field, so many opportunities and the doors gets open to you. And especially if you have done PhD in economics, you'll be in a better position to understand the market policies and the market
Yes.
dynamics, the dynamics of the stock market, where to invest, where not to invest, what is the inflation rate, what is the GDP rate, which country to get import from, where to export, how you are changing your currencies, what is the implication and the effect of the CPEC on Pakistani economy, and so many other things, tariffs, quota, embargo, so many things that you understand. So,
And
yeah,
a PhD is basically, you'll be specializing in a particular very minute and very important area. So you'll be focusing. So that will be the gateway to your future.
exactly. And answering to your second question, how to figure out or to conduct analysis before entering into any field, just ask yourself what you want to do. Just ask yourself. You'll get the answer. And rest assured, regardless of the fact that no matter whatsoever you want to do, if you do it the right way, you will succeed, you will excel. So it all depends on your choice. Like I said, like I always tell my students, that it's not a gun that does the damage, it's the man behind the gun. So it's you who need to decide what you have to do with your degree, with your gun, with your armory, and with your weapon, right? So it's basically up to you to decide. And once you decide something, put all your efforts into it. Rest, you will excel. Ms. Nadia Sham says, would it be right to say that social science students should look forward more to a future that's better for the society as a whole than their individual selves? Well, society is comprised of individuals. So, madam, would you like to say something about that, and then I'll say.
Why don't you start for the first time
Okay, madam,
once?
thank you so much. I'll be
I'll
honored.
just take I'll take on after you, and
Right,
answer the
madam.
question.
So I believe that individuals' action actually shape up the society, and I have seen it in my with my own personal experiences that if the society is comprised of individuals, an action which is done by a single individual has caused harassment and has caused depression, anxiety, and whatever you say. Um, the scope of terrorism with respect to that. For example, honor killing. Honor killing is an act of one person. But in 2016, with respect to the legislation that says that honor killing is basically an action which is directed by one individual against any other individual, but it is a crime against a society. Even in our law, Pakistan Penal Code says that there are certain kinds of crime against a person himself, crime against an individual, and crime against a society. So, for example, murder is a crime against an individual because you're killing a person. But if it is for the sake of honor, then it is not just a crime against an individual, it is a crime against a society. So society is certainly affected by an individual. And you cannot draw a relationship between an individual and a society unless you don't study the basic idea of social sciences. So society is affected by individuals and vice versa. And that is how you reform a society. That is why the law is there to punish those who does an act of criminal activity, so that there is a deterrence in the society. Let me ask you one more thing: that when a young innocent girl Zainab was raped and murdered, why there was a public demand that the perpetrator, that the criminal must be hanged in public, so that the society must be deterred, the individuals in the society must be deterred to do any such activity ever again. But then we recently saw Lahore motorway incident again, and it shook the society at large. It should everybody in the society. So it is not just an individual, it is a society which is involved and which is affected by the act of an individual. That would be my answer to this question. Madam, what would you say?
Just can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Would it be right to say that social sciences students should look forward more to a future that's better for the society as a whole than their individual selves?
No, I don't think so. The individual self is very important, because when you take up social sciences, you're taking up something that you enjoy, something that you want to do, something that will sort of open up your whole mind, something that you are going to look forward to at a later date in life. When I took up the social sciences, I had my bachelor's in education, I did my master's in education, and the next area of field was a PhD in education, but I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to change. I wanted to get a more broader outlook on society as well. So I changed my field to social sciences, and I did my MS and my PhD in the social sciences, and with an aspect of sociology. So now I was thinking about myself, definitely what I want to do. And if you excel in what you're doing, you'll have no problems. If you're forced to do something, you might not excel in it. So first and foremost, students who are taking up social sciences normally do so because they like learning about society. They like also learning about the individual selves. For example, if you're taking up psychology, so psychology is also about the individual as well as about society. So in the social sciences, it's a multi-dimensional aspect. You're thinking about the individual as well as you're thinking about society at large. And SZABIST sort of gives you a platform to think on both levels and to create a humane society for individuals as well as for society as a large, at large.
Exactly, indeed, certainly. Thank you so much, madam, for your time. I'll rush for my iftar. Thank you so
Yes,
much once
definitely.
again, and it was pleasure. And hopefully, I'll see you soon, inshallah. And I'll be discussing more on that.
Take care, Rana, and happy month of Ramzan. And hope
Thank
everybody
you.
stays safe because of the COVID and all. So all the
Exactly.
best to everybody.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. It was delightful listening to you. Thank you. Thank you, madam.
Bye bye. Bye bye.